Hello and welcome to another episode of the Career Reset podcast. And today I have a super special episode for you because this is an actual recording of a coaching session with one of my clients who was kind enough to agree with me recording the session and sharing it with all of you. And when we agreed that we would do this collaboration together, I didn't know, as I never know, which direction would our collaboration go. But I'm actually super excited that it seems like we will be exploring starting a business, exploring a new business idea. I think that is a super good topic now for the summer. Because I think many people are enjoying their vacations and time off, and they're thinking if they could maybe turn their career into some kind of business that would allow them more flexibility to do the things they love, like traveling or spending time with family. So the timing is perfect. And second of all, I think with my more traditional career coaching that's all about finding jobs and CVs and LinkedIn profiles, it's easier for me to explain what that would look like. I think most people can imagine what the session, when it's around these kinds of topics, what it looks like. But when it comes to business coaching, that can be a bit more abstract, what it actually looks like. So you will get a really good idea about what that actually is like in this session. So I'm not going to be sharing details about this client, but I just want to give you some context and a preview of what you're about to hear. So we started the session as I typically do basically any process with a new client by exploring what are the options that we are talking about, what are all the different directions they have considered with their career. And this client was aware enough, and quite quickly it's obvious that what he really genuinely wants the most is to get started with his business. And in our intro session with this client, he already talked about this idea, and it sounded that he has a pretty good foundation, that he has thought it through. But it's actually very interesting that in the session, when we start exploring that idea in a bit more depth, you will hear that actually there is quite a significant lack of clarity. And I think that's so great that you will hear that, because this is so common that when we are just thinking things in our head, we feel like we are having quite a good grasp on it, but then when we try to put it to words and actually say it out loud, we often come to the realization that there isn't much of the clarity and that we actually haven't thought it through as thoroughly as we thought. And that's where a coach can step in and help you explore the idea, which you will hear that I'm doing in this session. I am not giving any kind of specific advice, which might almost at some points be frustrating, because the client often repeats that he would really need to find out what is the first step, and he's even directly asking me what the first step would be, like how could he get started. But here is important to remember that coaching is not advising, it's not about mentoring. I might be able to tell the client that this is how you should start because I started my own business, so I could give the steps, but that is not in the end useful for the client, because what I would create that way is a dependence on me. So always to move forward and to take the first or then the next step, the client would have to come to me and ask me, what should I do first? What should I do now? What should I do next? And I would tell him. But that is not that effective. What I'm trying to create is to build self-trust, self-sufficiency, and the ability to come up with his own ideas. And maybe the first step he will come up with is not going to be the right one, but it's insanely more valuable to figure it out on his own and learn from the mistakes and then try again with something different. So I think this is actually a really great session. I'm now recording this after I have edited our session a little bit, just removing some pauses and when we are repeating words, but this is really exactly what we talk about, and you will see all the aspects that are common part of a coaching session. There are some confusing, almost like frustrating moments. Then there are moments when you will see that it really clicked for the client. There are moments when we are joking and it will feel like listening to two friends chatting basically, and it will give you a really solid taste for what coaching is like. And if it sounds like this is the kind of discussion you would really need to be having if you are considering starting a business or some bigger moves in your career, and it sounds like talking it through like this with someone who can keep you on track and give you the right perspective and ask you the right questions, if that's something you think you would need, then as always you'll find a form in the show notes that you can fill out to let me know where you're at, and I will send you a link to schedule a free intro session, which will be similar like this discussion you are seeing here. I will ask you a lot of questions to understand your situation, and then I will explain how our collaboration would work. And I really hope you enjoy this session, and you will give kudos to my client for the bravery to share what he's going through very openly, honestly. I know that this will be relatable to many people who are starting entrepreneurs and really just considering what that would look like. So I hope you enjoy it, and we will then see each other in the next episode. So firstly, I would like to know, based on our discussion last week, have you had any new thoughts or ideas related to what we discussed?
In relation to what direction I lead, or yes and no. I think apart from the skill set that came to mind, which I sent to you, might be relevant while we go through this sessions of ours. Because I personally think that from a professional point of view, I think that those skills might come in helpful in whatever direction it is I plan to head ultimately. So still kind of holding on to that middleman slash sales direction what we discussed last week as well. Yeah, I'm hoping to become a bit more clear in what that exactly could be throughout our work together, but I haven't necessarily came up with new ideas, so to say.
Yeah, I think that apart from sales, and even maybe sales, all the skills you have shared with me, they could basically be applied to any field within business or even beyond. They are necessary, they are very good skills, but just seeing this on paper doesn't maybe give me very clear idea about the direction that you should be going. Like that I would look at it and I would say, you should definitely go for this, I can clearly see it. Which is maybe why it's also difficult for you to come up with the right direction, because you have skills that could be applied in many different areas. So that's what we will discuss more today. So I would basically like if you could tell me all the possible directions you have considered, and you already mentioned some of these in our previous session, like your business ideas or sales, customer success, something like that. So that we have a list of everything that's an option at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, if I would have the option, and I know I have the option, but I just wouldn't know where to start. My all-time preference would be to be able to start something for myself, whether it's freelance based or more like a one-man company with potential to grow into more employees. Yeah, my number one would definitely be kind of a middleman between the Finnish and the Dutch market. I think secondly, any customer service or customer experience related job, whether it's a retail company or something on CRM platforms, these kind of things. That would probably be my number two pick. Thirdly, as I have started a food business back in 2021, even though it's not necessarily something that I would see myself doing for the rest of my life, although I did really enjoy it. I've been working in the hospitality business for roughly 15 years. Always done it with great pleasure, but it's just I'm starting to outgrow the hours. So if I were to go back to the food business as a business owner, I would more or less do the behind the scenes stuff, so leaning towards a 9-to-5 lifestyle, but still in the food business. So that's my top three that I could think of at this moment.
Okay, so the last one, that would be something like kind of behind the scenes of some kind of restaurant operation, food festival, something like that.
Yeah, not even necessarily food festival, although we did do a couple of those events back in the days as well, which was actually quite good fun. I wouldn't mind to actually be kind of like running the behind the scenes operations in a actual restaurant with seating area either. But that's something that I don't necessarily have experience with. But it is something that I potentially would be interested in. Yeah.
Yeah, but like that would in some way combine your interest and your background. It would be kind of like next level from your current background.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. And for the customer related jobs, are we talking like customer facing roles or more like running some kind of CRM operations? Again, something more behind the scenes.
Yeah, I would say a bit more behind the scenes. That's something that I've done as well. Throughout the last couple of years, I've done some more kind of like CRM, customer relation management work in terms of customer service online, answering phone calls and sending emails and handling general customer inquiries. So yeah, that's kind of what I meant with number 2, basically.
Yep. And how about something more directly related to sales? That's something you mentioned last time, but it hasn't come up yet today.
But then maybe relate to mostly to number 1. The kind of being a middleman between the Dutch and the Finnish market is to potentially connect Finnish and Dutch companies or organizations with each other. So I guess in a way sales would be related to that.
Okay. So
if that makes sense.
If it's an aspect of your own business, that would be interesting, but if that was a job title for some other company, that's not necessarily something we are looking for.
Right. No, actually, it's definitely something I would be open for as well.
Okay.
And maybe especially in the beginning to kind of like gain a bit more hands-on experience, I suppose. It wouldn't be a bad idea to work for a company or organization first to kind of like see like, okay, is this actually something that I could see myself doing? Potentially start an own business or so yeah. Whether it's for myself or a company, sales is definitely something I'd be interested in.
Yeah, okay. And that's kind of the direction that we preliminarily ended on in our last session. That in the long term, the direction is clear, that is starting your own business. And if I understand it correctly, you are not really after having a startup, looking for funding. It's more like a solo business kind of thing.
Well, if I'm being completely honest, I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell the difference between one-man company, or how do you call that, compared to like a startup. Like, I mean, is a startup typically something that consists out of multiple employees, or like?
Well, I'm not sure if there's like a Wikipedia terminology, or I'm sure that there is some distinction, but like my understanding is that the solo business path, basically you are from the beginning making money that you take home with you, while with the startup you are making money to put it in the startup, to invest it and to grow it into something really, really big eventually, hopefully. Yeah, got it. Okay, that makes sense. So with what you are describing, I mean, it could eventually lead into that it would be like a full consultancy company that you are running with some employees. But to start with, maybe it would make sense that you even like validate the idea just by yourself. Yeah, I think that sounds more like me rather than a startup, if I'd be honest. And I mean, you do have like a leadership experience, which would make it easier, not necessarily easy. Yeah, I think it would make sense that it's a solo man company to begin with. Okay. But then, for each of these, like, how much in depth have you thought it through? Like, how would it actually work? What would be the steps you would need to take?
being completely honest, I haven't. The steps that I've taken is what kind of organizations are there currently that do similar operations, basically. And so far, I've only found one organization which is called the Dutch-Finnish Chamber of Commerce. But yeah, apart from that, for this specific niche, I haven't really found any other companies or kind of like freelancing activities that are doing the same kind of things. But I haven't really looked into like what would I actually need to start. So just a little bit of research. Yeah.
Of course, it's in a way it is a competition, but as I mentioned to you, I used to work in a company that wanted to expand to a Dutch market, but I really doubted that it would even cross their mind to contact the Dutch-Finnish Chamber of Commerce. That's like if I am Valio and I want to start exporting milk to Netherlands, like some big business, complicated operations. But when I'm a startup and I would just like to kind of open the Dutch market and kind of crack it and understand it, then I wouldn't maybe necessarily go to that big, complicated bureaucratic organization. So I think that's where you would be the person I would maybe more likely contact.
Okay.
As a smaller organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so, but to me, it sounds like you have an idea. It's something that you can do. In a way, you could start doing that right away, pursuing this business. So the question is, what's stopping you from doing that?
The biggest obstacle is and always has been creating that starting point, really. Even with AI, talking with your good friend Chad only gets you so far. I feel like once that kind of like that initial starting point is made and that clicks, like, you know, that it actually makes sense as well, and I can start working from there, then I'm off. Then it's typically I can go tunnel vision, but like with this specific topic, I find it very hard to kind of like find that starting point and how to proceed from there. Yeah.
And so do you perceive the starting point that it would be official setting up a company or finding the first customer or creating some business plan?
Yeah, probably both finding the right customers and creating a business plan, because I think, you know, registering as a company is not the issue. I've done it before. It was a headache, but that's not the issue. I think how to proceed from there. What's then in the back of my head is like, is it ethical to start a company already before I even know where to go from there? If that makes sense. So what are the logical steps, basically?
Yeah, makes sense. And also the thing with your situation is that there are a lot of different goals you're trying to achieve. So it's not that you are really happy with your current situation, but you have a business idea you want to pursue. There is a combination of these pull and push factors that you want to leave your current situation because reasons we discussed, and at the same time there is some goal that you have. So now it's also about the prioritization, that what is most important. Is it for you right now more important to, let's say, get a different job as fast as possible, or are you willing to stay in your current situation for a bit longer potentially and working on this business on the side?
I think I've been treading this way too long and postponing, trying to work on certain ideas that eventually didn't necessarily work out. So for that matter, I would rather dive into something deep right away and just get the ball rolling straight away. But of course I also know that I need to be realistic, and I don't have a massive starting capital either, which can keep me going without having a certain amount of income. for a long period of time. So that's another obstacle. Of course, I'll be willing to find a job that is more up my alley already right away, whether it's CRM, and to then in the evening or whenever I have free time to then work a bit more on my own. But I am willing to get out of the current situation, which is relying on hospitality work. So yeah, but I know that I still need some income, and yeah. Does that kind of answer the question, or did I make it way too complicated?
Yeah, kind of, but you're kind of talking a bit in metaphors, which is quite common. So now we need to unpack, what do you understand under get the ball rolling, for example?
Yeah, that I can actually start investing time and energy in what I want to achieve in the long run, which is ideally not working for some corporation, but be able to have actually something for myself. But also, I feel like the motivation is there if I would only have a very good starting point, and at the same time, what worries me a little bit as well, do I just like dive deep straight into it and give it my all, and in the hope that it's gonna work out, yes or no, or do I slowly but surely work towards that, and in the meantime still just work that day job just to make sure that I have a certain amount of income as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, that depends on your life circumstances is one, but also your risk tolerance. I'm not the one who can tell you like the right thing right now is to quit your job and commit 100 hours a week to this. What I am thinking is that this type of business you're mentioning, of course you would need to think it through a little bit, but it's something you can pretty much start offering and selling right away. You are not developing a product that you would now need to take out a massive loan to develop the product so that you can then start selling, or you would now need to get some qualifications so that you can start providing it. So almost the challenge here is that it's something you can actually start doing right away, which can feel intimidating or overwhelming.
In a way, maybe the most intimidating part would be I don't have any issues with starting to approach people right away. My only worry is how do I make it sound convincing from the beginning, because of course you only get one chance, and well, I mean, of course you develop experience over time and you get better at what you do over time, but once again I think the issue at hand is that the starting point, where do I start? But yeah, now if you mention it like that, if you say it out loud, then it is possibly something that I can start doing right away.
Yeah, on paper it is, and then the question is, like, why aren't you? That there are some actual, like, you would have to have a company established so that you can actually invoice some other company.
Yeah.
You said something like, is it ethical to start it? Well, it's kind of the law that you would have to start it before you even have the first customer. But so there are these, let's say, real things, but then there are these worries that are stopping you from taking the first step. And I understand that, especially thinking from my own is, for example, the credibility. That if I haven't provenly done this service before, and I cannot say, hey, I helped a company like you enter the market and make millions within the first year, it's a bit harder to sell the service.
Yep.
Am I on the right track?
Yeah, for sure. And also the fact that I don't have any kind of portfolio to show from the beginning, of course. If I put myself in the potential client's point of view, then how am I gonna sound convincing knowing that I haven't really done this before? So that's maybe something. I don't have any lack of trust that I can't do it, but it's more that, like, how can I sound convincing enough to the potential client, knowing that I haven't necessarily done it before. I have a good idea of what it is that I'm trying to sell, but like I haven't gotten any prior experience. So that first move is that's something that I keep falling. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go on.
No, sorry. You go ahead.
No. I mean, I realize that I keep kind of like falling on that same obstacle, which is the initial starting point, which without a doubt is common when you talk to people that are planning to start a business. But yeah, I think that's my biggest concern, like not knowing what I can prove to the potential client that this is what I have to offer.
Yeah, and I hear this quite a lot, that people don't know the first step, and that's what's stopping them. But it becomes like, I don't know the first step, so I can't do anything about it, so that's it. Like, it sounds very legitimate, but I mean, if you were forced that you just have to, that this is your only option to make money, is to start a business, you would figure it out pretty quickly, I can imagine. Under the right amount of pressure that you just don't have. Like, at this moment, it's more of an appealing idea than something you just have to figure out. But it definitely helps when you actually know what you're doing. But I think it comes down to, what do you now believe you can guarantee to the potential client? Like, what knowledge do you have that an average Finnish company who wants to expand to the Netherlands doesn't and would be willing to pay for?
Is that a question, or?
Well, if you want to answer it, I would be interested to hear. But if that's something you want to think about, that's also fine.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind, I think I have a pretty good idea of the Dutch market, in terms of what it is we're selling, and what could even be potentially interesting for the Finnish market as well. Maybe I don't have a specific list of those now, but I'm sure with a little bit of research I would be able to find out what it is that could be interested for the Finnish market that it is that we currently have the Dutch market, and vice versa as well. So is that something that I could possibly start working out for myself first, like top 5 products that could be interesting for both markets? Or
you mean like that you would, on behalf of the company, think about the type of product or service that one or the other market would need?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Because, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, go on, please.
Well, I originally thought that we are talking more about some kind of advisory that you would explain to a Finnish company how the Dutch market works in general, what are some specifics compared to the Finnish one, and vice versa. The company just want to expand it to the other market, but either they have no clue how to start, or they have tried and it hasn't worked, and it could be due to some local specifics that they are not aware of, but you are aware of. I'm again coming from my experience from my past employer who wanted to enter the Dutch market, but they were in a way in the similar situation like you with your business. They didn't even know where to start.
Right. So it'd be rather more of a service rather than a product that I would be selling, or is that?
Yeah, that was my impression, but I'm definitely not telling you what you should be selling. So now you can tell me what you actually had in mind.
Well, actually, that is maybe from a broader point of view something that I could include as well in the business, whether it's a service or a product. The first thing that kind of came to mind, could I maybe rather start approaching supermarkets and see if they would somehow be interested in buying this product that we're selling in the Netherlands, or is it more kind of like a service that I would be selling from one organization to the other, or just kind of like to connect those two organizations, see what they can mean for each other.
So it would be more like export import of some local products.
Now, coming to think of it, maybe I haven't really thought it through that much what it is that I'm exactly trying to sell, but maybe I don't know, maybe even both. I guess my idea of being a middleman is to find separate organizations from both markets that might be able to mean something for each other. Or would it also be interesting to see what kind of products are working on the Dutch market that could potentially also be interesting in the Finnish market? Or do you think that's something that maybe rather should be separated, or would it be more wise to stick with one niche at first, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that is that it always is easier for your own way of communicating your services is to have something quite clearly defined and that being something that gets you these potential sales discussions where you explore what the client actually needs, and then of course if it goes a little bit in a different direction, you can say, hey, I offer that as well.
Right,
I think
right.
you would need to be really careful that at the end of the day, like Finland and Netherlands are not the opposite ends of the planet with the tools that are available nowadays. The information you mentioned, what are the products that are selling well and might be interesting, is something that do you necessarily need a middleman for that, like someone to pay? Or can you manage that with some internal resources? I'm not saying that you don't need an extra person, but I'm saying that there you would need to be really careful with communicating the value. How are they getting that value back from your service?
Yeah, okay, and then you're talking more specifically about like finding a product that from one market to the other.
Well, that's what I now understood from what you described. But I'm seeing that instead of making this more clear for you, I'm making it more complicated.
Now I mentioned that's why I think it's good that we kind of like mentioning this out loud as well, because it's always easier to comprehend for yourself as well, I feel, when you say things out loud. And I think maybe selling a service from one market to the other would sound a little bit more realistic, perhaps. Would you agree? Or with a product that would probably be a lot more involved as well in terms of like you said, import, export?
I'm thinking of it that if it's something you really want to start doing as soon as possible, so I'm thinking like, what is something that you can start offering right now in terms of you having the skills and knowledge and the network, and what could be something where the other side doesn't necessarily need you to show a proof that you have successfully done that 50 times. So if it comes with just being able to give some other company the awareness of how that market works, like some super simple surveys, 1 hour, 2 hour consultations, that really is something you could start selling today. And just the fact that you are Dutch and you have lived there, you obviously have much better understanding than someone who has been once on a drinking trip to Amsterdam.
Yeah, but it's still not entirely clear to me what it is I would be selling then.
Well, like an understanding of the market in terms of language. Can they manage with just speaking English, or would they need to have someone Dutch speaking? I think those are the things that you would be able to answer already right now if I asked you. And that's valuable information that will save me time and money for companies that are even considering, they are very early stage and they're even considering entering the Dutch market, and before they pour thousands of euros into setting up their office there, paying a few hundred an hour to someone who can tell them whether it even makes sense, would be a very smart service for them. But I mean, you have been thinking about this for a lot of time. I've been thinking about this for 38 minutes, so obviously my ideas are nowhere near the depth that you have thought this through.
Well, I mean, it's once again, it's not something that I've thought through in every small detail. It's more something that I would potentially be very interested in doing and making a solid living out of, because I feel that it's something that I actually enjoy doing. You know, the human aspect to it, and with the skill set that I think I own, would definitely be something that I could do as well. But again, it's not something that I think I've thought through well enough, and definitely something that I would need help with working out where to start and what kind of services it would be exactly that I could provide. I feel like as of now, it still sounds a little bit blurry maybe, and that has nothing to do with the way you explained it, but finding that right starting point is, as of now, maybe a little blurry.
Yep, okay. And that's maybe this is the first time you're actually talking out loud about it at such like depth and length. So that's a really good insight that maybe the clarity is actually the first step you would need to have, because even if you now went out and started contacting people, you don't 100% know what you're actually offering. That makes it very hard to take the conversation further.
Yeah, Yeah, I just want to be able that I can back my my answers. You know what I mean? So if a potential client has a counter question, it's like, oh, okay, but like how would this be beneficial for us? In what way? Just making sure that I say the right things, that it actually sounds convincing.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think that the starting point is definitely exploring more depth the kind of service or product you would be offering. Usually with my clients who want to start businesses, it's funny, it's the other way. They have a very clear idea exactly what they want to offer, and they don't want to take the first step of actually telling the market. And you're like the first client that I'm telling that you have the right to just think this through, that you don't need to start taking any action right now. But with this type of business and considering the other directions you're also considering, what would be super helpful, something you can start doing right now, is to start more actively building your network and visibility.
Okay.
Because that is absolutely crucial in running a B2B business in Finland. So how would you evaluate right now your network and your, let's call it, personal brand?
Well, there's not much of a brand yet, of course, at this point, but from the research that I've done, it could be interesting since there doesn't seem to be too much competition or similar business of like consultancies or whatever that offer similar service to my knowing. The network, I mean, it's not like I have people lined up that could help me with certain inquiries. So yeah, definitely not a massive network, but I'm willing to expand that network if I would only know where to start there as well, of course.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing that you know that there is the need in the market, you know that there isn't necessarily competition for it, and the next step is how to make sure that people connect you with even these kinds of topics, that you're the one who talks about doing business in Finland as a Dutch company and vice versa. So, but right now, people who know you professionally, what would they connect you with?
I mean, having worked in the hospitality for such a long time, which it's all about people interactions and essentially you're selling stuff as well, because you're making recommendations all the time. I have certain interactions with customers. People tend to enjoy that, or I even got praised for the way I talk with certain customers. I enjoy it. I want to make sure that people have a good time, that they get value for the money as well. I can quite confidently say that people have praised me for that in the past, and that's something that I've been carrying with me all that time, and something that I personally feel is the most important when you're selling something to the customer, is that they actually get value for the money as well. Especially nowadays, prices going up everywhere. You want to make sure that you get value for your money, and I think that's something where I could potentially stand out as well. Yep. Just making sure that whatever it is that I'm selling is just a little bit better than maybe if they would go to the competition. That makes sense.
That sounds really good. Yeah. So the people know you for really good customer interactions and value for money, return on investment. Those are definitely really valuable. When it comes to this international trade, international business, anything like that, do you think anyone would right now associate you with that or think of you when thinking about that kind of international business?
In what context exactly?
Well, would you come to anyone's mind that, let's say, a Finnish entrepreneur want to start exporting to Netherlands and they know you from some stage of life? Would they think like, hey, I will send this guy a message because he probably could help me?
You're asking if I think whether some people might be interested in contacting me.
Well, if it would even cross their mind. If you have, for example, mentioned this to anyone ever, online or offline, that these are the areas you know something about.
Well, I think once again I can confidently say with the services that I've provided in the hospitality field that people were so happy with the service that I provided, whether it was making a special drink or a certain recommendation. Having heard very positive feedback and the way we made their night, maybe would be confident to say that people would recommend me for that matter, if that can answer your question.
Yeah, well, there are different levels. That first level is that people know you, that you exist. Second is that they like you, they have had some positive interaction with you that stuck with them. And then, so I think on those two levels, you're doing really well at the moment. That's a really good base. But then it comes to the third level. I have this kind of business problem. Would I think of this guy as someone who would help me solve it? And that's maybe the missing piece at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But like due to the fact that I haven't really necessarily done anything of this before, which means that well, naturally you're missing a couple of pieces of the puzzle.
And it's logical, like you're not gonna be making somebody's drink and at the same time asking them, hey, by the way, ever thought of doing business with the Netherlands? Like that would maybe like, 1 out of 1,000 would say, you know what, I actually have, could you help me with that?
Yeah.
But the point being that starting a one-man company, very important to remember is that it's in the end not so much about the product or service you specifically offer, but about you, about the one man, you, and people knowing you and liking you and thinking of you as someone who could help them expand to one or the other market.
Right. Falling back on the network part. Yeah. And what's according to you, considering I haven't got a massive network. I mean, I know quite a lot of people here and I know quite a bit of people back in the Netherlands, but it's not like I necessarily have people on both ends that I could connect with each other already. At least not that I can think of at the moment. What would be a good way to start creating that network according to you?
Well, if we are thinking of creating network of relevant people, then you would need to think really directly who has maybe said publicly that they are thinking of expanding to Netherlands, or thinking of it from the perspective from the products, that what is a product that would make sense, you knowing that market, and then who could you get to know from that company. Ideally, you would go from your existing network. So like think how the people you already know could be in some way relevant, either that they know the things you would need to know or they know somebody. That's like a benefit of the Finnish market is that it's very small and it's a one village. Yeah,
in my opinion, that could also be beneficial, knowing that for such a small country, we're quite like economy driven. There's a lot of startups coming every year, and even like big organizations. So maybe that's also a strong point, knowing or speaking that language in the Netherlands. Start looking and asking around if there's, for example, Finnish service that they not have yet, if that makes sense. For example, I know that Finland is a very tech country, Helsinki in particular. So yeah, but you would say in any case a good starting point would be to kind of like create a network by means of, like you said a while back, that LinkedIn is your best friend. I think that's for me.
That's sad. I maybe haven't used these exact words, but professionally, yes, you could say that.
Yeah, but I think professionally, I would rely more on LinkedIn than Facebook or something, of course.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think having a bit of a brainstorm session with myself to figure out if there's any specific service that I would want to lean towards a little bit more in the beginning. Maybe that would kind of like would make it a little less complicated in terms of having to have the search a lot broader.
Definitely.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, that's really important, because then when you are doing some kind of active networking, it could happen that some actual opportunity comes out of it, but then if you can't put it into clear sentences what you actually do, you kind of kill that opportunity.
Yeah.
Let's say you meet with someone and they say, hey, actually my company is now looking to expand to Netherlands. But you don't even really know, okay, so I could maybe help you with that. What are you actually doing? Well, I'm not so sure about it. But if you have something very clear to answer to that could potentially result already in some kind of business opportunity. Like that's what you want. It's not very effective right now in this market, in this economy, to focus on heavy outreach.
Okay. So rather lean towards a specific, for example, tech, and start trying to link. Finland has a lot of tech companies, so maybe start seeing if there's anything to connect there between both markets. Or
and I would also think like what specific stage would you be again most confident helping them? That would it be a company that is very preliminarily considering the Dutch market, or would it be a company that is already decided that this is what they're doing?
Yeah.
Or would it be a company that has tried and it has failed and they would need someone to help them troubleshoot?
Right. Yeah. So find out what the needs would be of companies or startups and see what they have already tried, and based on that,
and I
kind
would
of like
really think of it from the perspective rather than that's where many people go wrong, that they are trying to find this like product market fit, whatever what is taught in all these like business schools. But you need to think not necessarily what sounds like the best idea or what would the companies need the most, but what are you the most confident to do? Because as you mentioned, like you need that confidence in those potential sales discussions. That's what the companies are buying in the end, your confidence.
Yeah.
So if there is something that it in theory sounds like a good idea, but you have zero confidence you could pull it off, you need to find something else.
Yeah. And what do you think would be a good approach to initially start contacting certain organizations?
Well, I think right now you're not even like selling anything. You are just understanding the market, which is always easier to ask for someone's time and just ask them about their business, how it works, what markets have they considered, and so on.
Right.
Than trying to sell them something.
Yeah. And we should have think of like the contact. Like about it, just ask for some basic advice.
Like which companies or which people?
Yeah, which company or which people from which companies.
Well, I think right now it would be most interesting for you to hear from companies that are operating in the Dutch market, that are selling their products in the Dutch market, for example.
From Finland, you mean?
And I would also, to be honest, I would just initially focus on one direction. That if you try to be too many things, like you cannot compete with the Chamber of Commerce, Dutch Finnish Chamber of Commerce. They have a ton of people, they have a lot of different services. Like you can realistically speaking offer one type of service to one type of company, but if you do that well, you can make a ton of money just from that.
Yeah.
Because you just need to pay yourself, you don't need to pay a company of 200 people. So just try to think of it like the simplest thing you can offer, like one simple service. And I would initially either focus on the Dutch companies to Finland or Finnish to Netherlands.
Okay, so not directly from Finland to Netherlands and from Netherlands to Finland again.
Like not both. One
not
of
both.
them.
Yeah. You're gonna laugh if I show you what I'm writing down here in my paper.
Is it a painting at this point?
Painting is an overstatement. Yeah, it looks a bit like a painting, I guess.
That's much better than what you described.
Oh, really? I'll take that as a compliment. What do you say? Oh yeah, so like one direction only.
Yeah, so I would maybe end it there. Of course, there is more steps to take. Like LinkedIn would be one entire session on its own.
Yeah.
But I think this is a really good basis to think about. So if you are really serious about pursuing this business, then you need to give it some very practical thought of how it would work and what is the type of service you could start confidently offering today.
Yeah. So I'll have a little bit of a brainstorm session myself today, and then what's the specific service that I can provide for both ends. Okay.
Yeah, and what I like about this direction is that focusing on the networking and building your visibility, and also on LinkedIn, is that inherently also exposes you to employment opportunities in these areas. It's nowadays, it really doesn't matter if you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to have a career in business and tech. The steps are the same. So by taking these steps, you are just increasing your chance of landing some kind of opportunity, and it could be any of the 3 or 4 options we discussed.
Yeah.
So we are not closing any doors or making any big decision what's the right step, but we are just making sure that you are putting yourself in a situation where you can attract some opportunity.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that was very productive. I hope you are.
Definitely.
I don't know, maybe at this point you are more confused than clear, which is common.
No, absolutely not. If anything, I feel rather motivated. It's just, my my head can only absorb so much information, after which it will start kind of like, oh, there's a bird.
Yes, that sounds like me in school.
But otherwise, a great session. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.